Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks. Today, taking another look at Hades Pool. I'm really starting to love this map. Really enjoying it. Hold on one second, I just gotta double check something, and we are live. Wonderful, just had some technical issues earlier. I wanted to make sure everything was looking wonderful on my end. Anyways, Hades Pools. This map has really caught me by surprise. I was skeptical at first, but the more I look at it, the more I love it. There's kind of this interesting middle ground here you can see with these two high grounds that look towards each other with this pool in the middle. We've got these interesting, well, pools, as you might expect here. So it offers a wide array of interesting tactical decisions. Kind of makes hovercraft a little bit viable. I don't think bots and vehicles can drive through these. I think it's too deep. So hovercrafts suddenly become viable. Airplay becomes viable. Seaplanes would be an interesting strategy, technically possible too. Very interesting stuff, and I'm excited to see it. Anyway, let's meet our teams for today. Spawning on the western side, our red team leader, Foggy12. Foggy12, let's see, that name reminds me of The Mist by... Ooh, who wrote that book? I'm forgetting. Somebody down there can let me know. I absolutely love the Netflix adaptation that they made. I don't think it was faithful to the books at all, but it was certainly interesting to see. And I really love the concept of it because in the book it's sort of like an alien. Spoiler alert. Sorry, should have said that beforehand. It's like a sort of an alternate universe kind of thing, very like upside down kind of universe. And there's like these alien monster creatures things that come through and they live in the mist. But it really makes sense if you think about it. Like if they need a different atmosphere to survive or something like that, then they would probably need some sort of way to do that. And maybe that's just what the mist is. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. There was already a scoutcraft sent across by the dark green player. So I think that Gurdon here is going to be the official title holder of the Brightworks Get a Unit Out on the Field award. Yeah, I don't see any other units out here. Looks like our other team has some more units out before the red team. The blue team has more than the red team, I should say. Speaking of the blue team, why don't we meet our blue leader, Cloud. Well known for their appearance in Final Fantasy, they've decided to switch over to the RTS genre and decide to give tactics a try instead of big blades and good-looking hair. Very excited to see what Cloud brings out and puts on the field for us today, a Cortex player, so that's very nice. Are both our top players Cortex? Very interesting. Two Cortex players, red and blue, but I do notice that blue is misaligned against the players down here, so it's not going to be our top players versus each other, which usually leads to some interesting results. Sometimes that means that the map will swing, so in this case it would be like blue gets through orange and this player here. Sperm Song Lano Jod. Wow, what a name. Dark Salmon player here. Let's go with that. And that could certainly be the case here, where this swings and then the southern side is pushing up into the red's northern, and then the northern red pushes across and swings down to the south. And that's always a really fun match because it turns into a little bit of a base race, as close as you can get in this game anyway. In the 8v8, that is. I suppose in 1v1s it's probably a lot more possible. Plausible, even. Gyron moving the commander forward, which is really nice to see. I'm curious about the metal spots in this map. Let's have a look here. 1.8, and it looks like that is going to be it across the board. Yeah, I don't see any that are any different than that. So yeah, it looks like 1.8 metal for all those spots. So it's much more about controlling territory than it is about controlling high specific, or strategic points. Specific strategic points. So seeing these laser turrets built, seeing all these defenses set up, very nice. I think that's going to serve the red team very well. Morocco here, moving forward and building some beamers actually in the back line for a little bit of defense. I don't hate that one bit. I think those beamers can be quite effective. Oh, interesting. We do see some pincers brought out here. That's an interesting decision. That's an amphibious tank, so it will be able to traverse the water here, which is really nice because it is going to force these teams to be considerate of the fact that tanks might just pop up in unexpected locations. Yazel, and what is this player here? It looks like Crest Forever. Crest Forever moving the bots forward. Going to be going for a little bit of a run by actually. That might be enough pawns to take down a commander if they spread out and get a lot of surround damage. What is it? Yeah, flanking damage. Surround damage, you know what I'm saying. catching an incisor, that's nice, but a lot of these are torn down by these light laser turrets. So overall, I do not think those pawns quite got their value out. That's okay. We are still early into this game. Still plenty of time to show us what we can do. Show off for us their micro potential here. We've got vehicles versus bots down here, which is going to be tough. Now, Cloud is 30 true skill versus Orange is Mr. Zach at 23. 23 is nothing to scoff at. That's definitely, you know, you have some experience in the game. But 30 is basically the cutoff in my mind for low-level pro level play. Certainly very experienced, if not a pro. There's no hard definition. That's a question I've had for a long time. Is how should we define the pros? We kind of get to make that up as the tide goes, because we, you know, more or less are just watching these games here. So let me know down below what you think is considered a pro. How high above the average do you think you have to be before you're considered a pro player? And I'll base my judgments off of what you kind folk leave for me down below. Always happy to hear from you. Feel free to join the community. It's growing every day, by the way, if you'd like to subscribe. Your view is really the most important thing, though, so I do appreciate you taking the time. And hopefully I can show you some epic Beyond No Reasons comments. Now, it looks like the radar jammer was spotted, so we're aware of the fact that the jammer is up, and we might even get it here. Ooh, the thug tried. Luckily, the commander comes in clutch and manages to save the radar jammer from being taken down. Craig here, forced to retreat after taking some heavy fire. Commander down to 40%. And going to be a little bit defensive here. That was a commander suicide here. That was intentional. The commander goes down in order to give this player the access to the 2,000 metal tied up in their body. We could absolutely reclaim the T1 lab, but it looks like we want to make some gunships before we make the lab, so that's going to be interesting. Don't hate it one bit, and we do have quite a few metal extractors for the start back here, so I think that's going to be quite nice. We also have a lot of windmills back here building up, which is very nice to see. I'd much rather see this than the T1 solar collector spam. Lancelian, you have this humble commentator's full support. Everything looks good here. Now, the question I have for Lancelian is, how long are we going to tech for? Because this front line is rapidly deteriorating from Morocco. These tanks are being very threatening. If these actually move through the water, they could pop up back here and do a tremendous amount of damage. So it's very important that we call this at just the right moment. Gunship is out, and it's going to head in this direction. But I wonder if the gunship is a little bit of a waste, in the sense that once the gunship is seen, anti-air defenses pop up all over the map. And that kind of shuts down any potential you have of, say, bombing runs, say gunship spam, if you wanted to build a whole ton of those. So really, really interesting decision there. Oh, it looks like we've actually produced a few gunships. I see there's a huge patrol path here, and there's 2 of them out now, and we might see some more in the future. Using these planes, using their acrobatics, their agility, to maneuver around the map and reclaim energy. That's always lovely to see. We also have an aggravator over here. Yeah, so this is what I was wondering about, is if we were going to see artillery sieges from these high grounds here, and indeed we will. As this aggravator tears down the metal extractors over here. And yeah, there's enough AoE that I think this might be able to scuff that metal extractor, especially if it misses and it fires a little far. Yeah, we might just barely be able to hit that. Difficult, though. Wow, the stream of thugs coming out of Crest Forever. If it works, you know, if it ain't broken, why fix it? We've got the thug stream coming out here. Oh, mesas, sorry. Should have zoomed in a little sooner. The mesas are walking forward, and they're going to be an excellent option for pushing into these dense units. Now, we do have riot tanks out, and those are phenomenal against every single type of T1 bot. So I'd love to see those put into a little formation, and they would do excellent work. Riot tanks over here as well. They're just as good against vehicles, except for the fact that the vehicles can outrange them. So that's the one problem with those. If you can solve that problem by either getting some sort of positional advantage or forcing the enemy to take an engagement where you can fire at them with the riot tanks, they can be completely devastating. But if they have the opportunity, like say, to use a whole bunch of missile trucks like this, they can definitely be a really, really big pain to your riot tanks. Those missile trucks can definitely be really devastating. Mr. Songlonojad has built a forward vehicle lab here. We've got a rear vehicle lab, and I would love to see this reclaimed if we're just going to build one up at the front lines. No reason to have 2 actively running. Not vehicle labs. Bot labs, I could see the argument, but vehicle labs doesn't seem quite so necessary. Are we What is firing over here? Oh, there's a single artillery truck over here. A Wolverine harassing down these units here. That is quite nice. Just making sure to be just annoying enough that there's always some reason to keep the units moving backwards. Now this is a huge amount of thugs though. These can definitely push forward, and Eton actually has a Twitcher out and about already. So that is really nice. We're getting that T2 economy up and running. We have a engineer back here, a T2 constructor, building up some of these advanced metal extractors, and soon enough Etan's economy is going to be phenomenal. Energy production is a little bit lacking, but we can solve that with just a click of a button on that T2 engineer. The Fiends are out, and those are going to be more than enough to scare off this red army. As soon as those Fiends get into the fight. Yeah, look how easily they blast away at this stuff over here. Foggy 12 in a lot of trouble here. Commander looks like it's going in for the bomb to wipe away this army, but it takes down a huge amount of the static defense that was built up right there as well. And was that trade worth it? I mean, I think Red still has plenty of army to reinforce this, and so the reclaim, I mean, we already have the Resbot right here, so we can start reclaiming that commander right away. So I think ultimately that trade definitely went in their favor. Yeah, we are going to reclaim. Thought about resurrecting for a second, but that might have just been a misclick. So we get the reclaim out, and that is going to be really, really nice for this red commander. We're sending back 57 metal a second back to that economy, which is going to allow for a huge boost in unit production. You can see the metal is climbing currently. We could definitely go for some more construction turrets, or tech up to T2, or just give the metal to our teammates. Either one works pretty well. Whatever floats your boats. Speaking of boats, looks like nobody's tried any sort of naval shenanigans to get into seaplanes, which is understandable, but I'm a little disappointed. I can't lie, I always love to see some people go for some interesting shenanigans. Riot tanks engaging with these medium tanks here. The medium tanks have the range, and they have the overall advantage in a drawn-out combat because they can arc those shots. So these are an indirect fire unit, which means that they can basically lob their projectile up and over a little bit, which means that they can bunch up a little easier and they can fire a little further. The Riot tanks fire directly forward, so they have a lot less options. They have to get line of sight. It makes them powerful, but it also can be a detriment. Now the units have broken through this line for the most part. There's only a few light laser turrets that remain, but I wonder if already this has been too costly here. We haven't reclaimed any of the wreckages here on the front lines. We definitely need to see something done about that. Maybe we can produce a constructor, or maybe even a construction turret somewhere around here to try and just eat up as much of this metal as possible. But something has to be done, and now we have T2 units actually hitting the field out of this T2 advanced vehicle lab. This was built in kind of an odd location, wasn't it? Oh, I guess we have all these construction vehicles here to help with that. That makes sense. What is the plan here for the blue player, the light blue player, the baby blue player? Powder blue player, that's the word. Looks like we're going for gunships and economy and tech. I would love to see this T1 lab reclaimed. I think that might be nice. Also, these solar panels can all be reclaimed. Remember, once you get these fusions up, it's worthwhile to reclaim all that. I swear I saw an explosion. Ah, here it is. Looks like Morocco went down to... Well, we have T2 units on the field, so I guess that explains what ended up being the death of Morocco right there. Missile truck brought into range here as these ticks are lasered down. These beamers very, very good against those ticks. At this point, Hounds versus Fiends. That's a difficult matchup for the Hounds, especially in even numbers. You definitely want the advantage if you're going to be playing with Hounds against Fiends. Burst those down as quickly as you can. The thug warfare here. I like this concave a whole lot more, but these units are looking a whole lot less healthy. These units all look pretty much fresh out of the factory, whereas these thugs look like they might have been fighting on the front lines for a good long while. The economy for Eton is getting better, except for the energy section, so we need to see some more energy production. Although that being said, we can't really produce as much as we need to here. We definitely need to start up some construction turrets or something to increase the build power here, excuse me. Down south, Cloud is doing a great job of holding. This line is a 2 versus 2. We have the dark green player here amassing a whole bunch of vehicles. We should be stepping up to T2 eventually here. Looks like we're mostly just going to go for economy though. I think definitely they should be asking their teammates for a T2 constructor. We're well into this game, 14 minutes into this game. I think it's definitely about time. Cloud's commander is idle on the front lines, and I would either love to see it brought back or sacrificed or something. Just doing something with it. We are planning on teching up here. A T2 constructor was given, which is quite nice. And we're starting up more construction turrets as well, so that's really nice to see. Already going up to an APHIS for LAZORS. Can we afford that? I mean, I guess we have the Hounds out and we're still fighting T1 units. So, yeah, I guess, yeah, we can afford that. In case anybody's curious about why that's a interesting decision, you kind of have to look at building an APHIS as teching. I mean, obviously, but when you're doing that, you have to decide, like, do I have enough units to basically forestall the enemy from pushing in while I'm not able to reinforce? And at the moment, those Hounds are going to do great work. These Hounds right here are going to do great work against these T1 medium tanks that can be kited for essentially ever. So I think the decision is actually really sound here. Mr. Dark Salmon here is wondering why there's no units on the front line, and it's because these construction turrets have been building or repairing the commander, rather, for a good long while, and so that's actually why the production has forestalled. Also because we're running 2 production facilities at the same time. Now, a huge push over here. Looks like the Pounders and the Stouts have decided they've had enough of these enemies being here and have marched inward. The artillery fire rains down as well, oppressive as it is. And that's going to push this Hot Pink player back even further. Hot Pink player now teching up as well. Teching and producing at the same time, which is a risky gambit because it's going to slow down both. You'll kind of get the worst of both worlds as opposed to the best. And that's not good, not at all. Eat up these T1 solar panels, eat up this lab, and just go into the tech, posture your army, and I think I'm going to like this position here a whole lot more for Yezel. Crag here just focusing all the way on building these T2 units. I'd love to see a Tsar brought out to the front line. There was a kind commenter who said they wanted to see a Tsar, and I'd love to appease them, bring out the very heavy assault tank. Absolute beast of a unit to put out on the front lines. Very difficult to deal with, and now we have truly enough Hounds to cause a remarkable amount of damage. But the Hornets are up and in the air, and they are going to put in a lot of fire. Those 2 assault missiles that they fire, what are they called again? The armor-piercing Sabo missile launcher. I'm not sure exactly what makes it armor-piercing, but either way, I know it does a tremendous amount of damage to anything it fires at, so that alone it justifies the cost here. When you build these up in mass, they're also quite tanky. They can definitely ravage front lines really easily. Struggled to find the right word there. Really quickly isn't quite the right case because they do have to fire quite a lot, and you know there's certain conditions for them being successful. Obviously, no anti-air in the mix, but you know all conditions met, they can be quite devastating. Hounds again intercepting these T2 or T1 medium tanks here, but the economy is now booming for the purple player who's actually going for a second APHIS. Ooh, that might be a little bit greedy. Again, the Dark Salmon player is not teching at all. We're just continuing to produce these units, and things are starting to look dire here. The Dark Pink player definitely needs to get in gear, make sure that things turn around quickly here. These Hornets being a real pain to these Hounds on the front lines, making sure to remind them that they're there whenever they can. Yeah, these Hornets can kind of shrug off these light anti-air fire, but the Archangel is definitely going to be much more of a threat here. Indeed, they decide actually to target it down. They say, wait a second, we can just kill you. 3 of them, though, that's going to be too much, and indeed, all of the Hornets will go down. Very expensive units to lose on the front lines. I would love to see some EMP bombers. I think that might be a better option here. Work with your teammate, EMP bomb all this, and then the Fiends can jump on top of it, and that is a tremendous value. A lot of people underestimate those EMP bombers, but they can do really good work. A lot of units running back and forth here. We've got yellow units pushing in, the missile trucks behind it for fire support. We've got artillery trucks lobbing their projectiles up into the air, trying to hit these missile trucks. The missile trucks are very slow, so some of these artillery are probably going to connect. And it looks like a bloodbath out here. Look at that wreck field. There was a setting someone had enabled. I think it was Winter Gaming had enabled that allowed them to see an estimate of the cost of wreck fields that they were looking at. I'm not sure. I couldn't find it. I took a look in the widgets menu and I couldn't find it. But let me know down below if you know exactly what that setting was. I'd be happy to enable it because it is an interesting one. The Hounds are getting dangerously close here. Dangerously close. It looks like Morocco was never able to properly tech up. They still have T1. Well, they actually have a few T2 economies here. By the way, if you weren't aware, when you build these T2 metal extractors on top of a T1, it gives you a little bit of a discount on it. When you build it next to it, it does not give you the discount, and there's only a certain amount of metal that can come out of these. Well, come out of these metal spots. So you saw that extractor was only pulling 5.5, whereas this one was pulling 7.4. That's because the T1 metal extractor was still up and at him. Looks like the light green player has decided to forfeit here. E10 in a lot of trouble here, actually. These Banishers fire a heavy rocket. Indeed, the commander goes down. Both of the green commanders going down in the middle of the field here for the blue team. And that is quite dangerous. Yeah, suddenly this whole blue army has to completely shift gears here. And despite this southern field being extremely strong technologically, the north is collapsing very quickly. So we need to see some crazy units pumped out here. Indeed, we do see a lot of hounds being built, and that is phenomenal. Absolutely necessary here. These hounds need to get some damage done. We need to start collapsing and swinging this game, otherwise there's not going to be much left on the northern field. We do have these Hornets putting in a lot of good work here on these T1 units. They're not going to be nearly good enough in order to deal with these Hornets. They can fire their missiles all they want, but they're never really going to be able to do much. At this point, the blues collapse inward here. The Banisher's getting so many heavy hits, though. Such a good unit. That Banisher can do tremendous work. Also a Negotiator here. Brought to the front for long-range missile operations. Does get a couple kills for its worth, so very nice to see that. Are we producing Sheldon? We are producing Sheldon. So these are sort of the counter to hounds, although in this many numbers, it's hard to counter those hounds effectively, efficiently. Yeah, this needs to move. These hounds cannot be afraid of these tanks anymore. We gotta start swinging these in. Oh wow, we have T2 vehicle production out and running now, and we actually have bulls coming out at quite a pace. Yeah, we have the economy to fund them too, so I think this is a great move. These bulls can be tremendously powerful, especially with these hounds for fire support. Don't even get me started. They can do tremendous work. Oh, we are actually switching between the plasma and the Gauss modes. That is quite nice. I do love to see that. This is enough hounds to completely ravage this base. There should be nothing standing after these hounds move in here. We're doing a good job of being cautious not to lose anything that we don't have to, but that's also costing us time, and I think I would love to see some of these hounds split up and moved up north here and then moved in, and then we do a bit of a pincer maneuver. That forces them to split their defenses or focus them, and it either collapses one side and you get this round, or it means you take a less drastic fight all around. Well, that was a really good volley right there. It took out 4 tanks with a single fire, and these tanks are slowly melting away. Mr. Sperm Song Lonojad does not have the economy to keep this fight up and going. And indeed, every one of these tanks that falls is a tremendous cost. It looks like the north has stabilized, although the south looks like it's in a little bit of trouble here. We've got some Arbiters firing away at the Persecutor built up on this hill. Persecutor continues to fire here, and the Fiends are being constantly routed around, trying to defend from whatever threats pop up. I'd love to see this Persecutor used a little bit. Actually, you know, I was about to complain, but I think it's actually doing phenomenally. It's being sure to fire around here. You could certainly try and fire on these people attacking it over here. That might be a worthwhile use of time. Might make it survive a little bit longer here. The Sheldons are protected by Fiends. What a beautiful unit composition. We've got the Banishers in the back for the, you know, that long range, high damage spike. We've got the Sheldons for consistent damage. We've got the Flax for anti-air. The, oh, where was it? Here. The Fury. And we've got the Fiends, of course, for the spam protection, making sure that everything is nice and well. These are just regular fortifications, right? I was going to say, that'd be interesting to build some fortifications, like the Flame Turrets or Dragon's Maw or whatever, and then pop them up when enemies walk on top of them. Because you don't want really those attacking the Fiends, but you definitely want them to pop up next to the artillery. That would be quite interesting. Food for thought. A lot of artillery coming back home to defend, but a few of these Fiends do manage to sneak by, and they can do a lot of damage. 4 Fiends is certainly enough to snipe a commander here, and they do see it. Yeah, the commander is well aware of exactly how dangerous these are, and is moving with every precaution to keep these out of the main facility. Looks like they will be content to just snipe a few of those energy production structures, the windmills there. I think maybe they could have gotten a little more, but Red probably didn't have the vision in order to do that. I have the vision. Gordon here. A lot of gauntlets. I would love to see these reclaimed and turned into T2 stuff. Especially since we're putting defenses right in front of them. Ooh, I don't know about that. That's a bit of a choice maneuver there. Especially considering these are just dumbfiring at the moment. Yeah, I think those could definitely be recycled into something a little bit more important here. This push down south needs to continue. We have the bulls, we have the hounds. We should be marching these in at a breakneck pace. We should definitely be collapsing here. They're building their own T2 stuff, but not nearly at the speed that purple can. And I think if purple realized this, orange would be in a whole lot of trouble. But unfortunately, there's no scouting information available here. Build a stealth tank, build a radar bot, build a radar vehicle, jammer, whatever you got to do. Get that reconnaissance in, get the maximum efficiency out of your artillery units, and you're going to be A-okay. Northern side is looking dangerous once again. A huge front of hounds are built up with a couple archangels for anti-air support, and of course the compass and smuggler brought in to navigate through the dark of the fog of war. Hornets are brought here, but they are going to be shot down pretty quickly by these archangels here. Now, archangels do technically need line of sight, so they're a little bit cramped right now and can't actually fire at their full speed. But yeah, as soon as they spread out a little bit, you can see that Hornet is in a lot of trouble. And this is the reason why I don't like these repair pads, is because you saw the Hornet went back for the repair there, but it had no chance of getting out nearly in time. You either need to set your repair limit, you can always set that on these, retreat at a certain percentage. You either have to set that retreat percentage way higher, or you just have to accept the losses. Personally, I just accept the losses, but there are varying opinions. Hounds have made it all the way into the base of the light green player here, the electric green player. And this is not looking good. Production is shut down. We have the T2 lab up and running, and we are producing Sheldon still. But the Sheldon are not nearly enough in numbers to deal with the hounds that are marching forward. Every Sheldon down is infinitely more valuable than the amount of hounds that are pushing in here. And indeed, I think the hounds might have won this match right now. Now at the same time, wow, purple has pushed in, doing exactly what they should have, marching in with the bulls here and counter-striking. Just the right opportunity, forcing Hot Pink to pull back all of these Mauser that were otherwise going to be pushing in through the middle. Huge amount of push through here, though. The red player has marched a ton of Sheldons forward. We have tons of stuff. Ooh, a nuke went... Oh, no, sorry, that was probably a commander explosion. It was indeed. Looks like Mr. Zach's commander went down there, dying for the cause. And yeah, I think some of these bulls should have probably pulled off and gone towards Yazel's base. The hounds need to move in, too. Oh, we're having a little bit of a APM stall here. We're not really sure what to do with this. Looks like this base goes up in smoke. A commander was parked right in the middle of it, and that does tear down all of Jairon's production. Jairon? I'll call you Jairon. Anyway, Jairion's production completely ravaged by the commander explosion right in the middle of the base. Blue doing everything they can to protect their light blue cousin. Oh, but unfortunately it might not be enough. These forces keep pushing through. The hounds are also being misused here. I really need to see these pushing in. I think that's absolutely going to help us. We have Resbots here. This is phenomenal. Great job by Mr. Zach holding in this game and doing everything they can to stay on top of the production here. Yeah, resurrecting these bulls is a great start. In fact, there's actually tons of them, so I would love to see all of these resurrected here. These bulls are still on a rampage. They're still tearing up, but they are really low in health, and I think they're not long for this world, not at all. One of those bulls just shot its friend right there. How unkind. Yeah, those bulls are brought down, and that is just going to be a ton of metal for the red team to reclaim up. I think if those bulls had taken a sharp left turn, went through Yazel's production, and absolutely ravaged it, we would have been in a phenomenal position here. Yazel moving the commander forward to actually reclaim some of this wreckage, which is quite nice. All these hounds are still here. I think we need to use these offensively. Cloud, realizing that a lot of this army has been devastated by those same bulls, pushing forward with the fiends. This is looking extremely dangerous. The bulls are great, but you know they're prone to being swarmed just like any other unit in this game. And indeed, this is true when there's no defensive structures. The fiends get into the back line here of Yazel, who is now forced to deal with a tremendous amount of literal firepower in their back line. And this is not looking good. Suddenly, fiends are ravaging the entire base. Of course, they're going to leak over to the orange player as well, who's right next door. Yazel decides to tap out. Says, nope, not dealing with that. Too many fiends for me. I absolutely understand. Those fiends are quite frustrating to play against, and they are going to continue maneuvering around here. The red player eating up Yuzel's leftover forces, his soulless forces, taking them over. Looks like a whole bunch of construction turrets were also lit up with some energy converters by another fiend that managed to run down here to Mr. Zach's base. Things are starting to look dire here. That was an excellent push by Blue, finding the weakness, discovering the weakness from the other team that was pushing here. Look at all these crossbows. Wow. I'm a little speechless. That is so much anti-air here. Absolutely shutting. I mean, it is the hard counter to this player who's completely invested in aerial forces. We needed some sort of ground turret, like a light laser turret would have been devastating to this push here, which is bizarre. But yeah, these nano turrets are trying to eat everything up here. Oh boy, what is going on here? This is a case of didn't transition properly into a ground-based army, and so unfortunately, looks like Lancelian is paying the ultimate price. More bulls pushing forward here, though. Froggy 12's second commander is now under a bit of duress. 28% on that bad boy. Not bad whatsoever, but more pyros are ready to run in. Fiends, I mean. I was just talking the other video about how we got to start using the right names for all these units. We're resurrecting anything we can and sending it towards the front line, and wow, we're just producing bulls at a breakneck pace. What an excellent economy here. Absolutely well done. I'm not sure how Gurdon's commander ended up over here. I wonder if maybe the commander was given by Azurdark. Either way, we are starting up a lab here. That's interesting. I wonder if we're going to go... We're building a constructor, so maybe T2? What's the play here? Use it to reclaim? That'd also be nice. We have the forces, yeah, march them forward. No reason to forestall this. Taking out a bunch of these res bots, that's nice. It's going to shut down some of that economy. Because remember, this economy is now built off of resurrection and reclaim. So killing res bots is as good as killing metal extractors here. T2 factory will be shut down. I'd love to see it focus down even. Tear it down to scrap, very nice. Yeah, it's going to cause a huge problem for the orange player. Mr. Zach. In quite a lot of trouble. Oh, don't group the bulls up though. Keep them moving. Keep them moving, keep them grooving. Don't stop until you reach the top, as they say. Foggy 12 trying to get in the way of this, but there's more and more units piling in here. T3 units are out on the field. We see some Karganeth all about, and they're going to be quite a pain. Razorback over here even. Wow. We've got T3 units out for the red team. We don't have any T3 out for the blue team, I don't think. I haven't seen them, at the very least. But this push down south is doing quite a lot of damage here. Oh, are these reactors going to be found? They will be found. Very nice. The last remaining economy structures here for Mr. Zach are found. Froggy 12 also in a lot of trouble here. The commander is, anyway. The red commander does go down, and that's just one more chipped off the block. And we've entered exactly what I predicted. Nice little base race here. Very, very nicely done. Hound's doing good work against this Karganeth, down to 50% here. Very, very difficult to deal with those early T3 units, especially with T2 forces, but I think bulls are a pretty good option. I would also say Starlights I would accept. Basically any high spike amount of damage, because you don't expect them to live too long up against that kind of a force. But you definitely get a one shot of damage. Razorbacks are moving in here, the yellow Razorbacks, and these are going to be absolutely devastating. Screw that metal storage in particular. It was in the way of the devastation, and thus it had to go. Razorbacks, I mean, don't get me wrong, they're devastating units, but if there was ever a T1 unit that they were not as great against, it would be the T1 medium tank. So, at the very least, we're stalling for a lot of time here. Blue is forced into a situation now where they either win the game with one big push right now, or they probably are going to be collapsed upon in the next 15 seconds. And there's not a whole lot you can do about that, just because of the lines that have been shaped here. The purple player making good use of these bulls, though, making sure to get them into the back lines. Oh, I'd love a shot on these energy converters. That would be very nice to see. Looks like most of the purple forces will be cleaned up. Sperm Song Long Jongo. Sperm Song Lon Ojad. Very, very hard to pronounce name, and also I feel dirty talking about it. Not in a great position here, but doing good to hold on. Very best that they can. Still on T1, which is just hilarious. We've got bulls fighting Razorbacks here. It's never a great trade. Razorback, one of them falls. A second one looking pretty damaged here. If the Razorback manages to sneak into an economy center, it's going to be hell to pay. Yep, focus down the Razor. Impulse bombers even. Brought to the front. And resurrect. That's your job now. You have to resurrect those. You have to make sure that you resurrect them as quickly as possible. You do not want those Razorbacks working for the enemy one more time, and you basically need them working for you this entire rest of the game here. A lot of Fiends pumped out here by the blue player, and we're using them both for defense and for offense. Wow, look at all these constructor vehicles. I'd love to see these built, or rather building. Oh yeah, they're getting stuck on each other. Yeah, that's always the risk you run when you have too many constructors, is they kind of group up and cause problems, and it's a thing. It's a whole mess. Yeah. Starlight's being harassed by some banishers here. Starlights are very expensive, so to lose them on the front line like this is sort of a throw. But I guess, you know, they are doing good work, so maybe not the worst choice here. They have managed to break all the way into the back line, which is quite devastating, and more Razorbacks are pushing in. Okay, I don't know how you're going to address this many Razorbacks here. All the bulls are out of position. They're up here dealing with the Karganeth. There's catapults laying down huge amounts of suppressive fire. The Razorbacks are marching forward. There's not really any units to deal with that. We need some Starlights, but speaking of Starlights, there's already some in your back line. This is a terrible, terrible situation to be in. Really, really nice play by Yellow, getting these Razorbacks right in where they need to be, and they take down the T2 facility, they take down the reactors. Look at that beautiful chain reaction right there. Everything falls down all at once. Friendly Razorback that was resurrected gets shot down by the enemy Razorbacks, and the Yellow player pushes forward. Whoa, look at that bombing run. Huge amount of bombers come out here. They're completely grouped up, though. What are we doing? Start bombing. Okay, we're going for the T3 facility here. These bombers have to take a very wide arc whenever they swing in over anything. Yeah, luckily for this red team, the economy structures are not very centralized here. We've got a lot of economy that's very well spread out. That being said, these bombers attack in such a nice little line here. And Olav, or is that Olav? Olav Metal, really, really good job making sure that this base is unassailable. That being said, I mean those reactors did go up, but there's not like a whole, there's not a big thing to chain react right now. So actually, I think the economy for purple might be better than the economies of the other teams here. Yeah, if we look at this, we're at 150-ish metal per second, about 11k energy. Versus, I don't know, let's take Yellow in the opposite position. 80 metal per second and 2,000 energy. So the economy for Yellow is phenomenal. We really have tons of economy here. We've got some gunships moving in, and that's always a nice option here. They're going to be able to shut down a whole lot of this stuff. Yeah, sure, T1 medium tanks, they'll take them right down. Stouts never stood a chance. This is kind of just what we're doing. We're pumping out gunships as fast as we can. Doesn't quite know about the repeat command. You can just queue up a whole bunch of these very easily. Love to see that. The ships are about to fly through a whole host of anti-air, but like I said, when you amass these Hornets, they can be quite tanky, and they can do enough damage to just take down your anti-air before it gets a chance to take them down. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. These Hornets helping hold the line. Now, there's a force pushing in from up north here. A lot of these red spots were sent on a huge reclaim command, which is very nice. That's going to be funneling metal directly into the economies of both of these players. Both of which are completely filled up to the top. So we could either see some metal extract, or rather some metal storage coming up here, or we just need to spend. We could build more expensive units. We could build sumos. We could build, what else does the Cortex toolkit have here? We could build Sheldons, I suppose. We could build a nice composition of things. But it's hard to turn away from that Fiend. Just so powerful. Absolute beast on the field. Would love to see maybe some nuclear bombers coming out. That's a nice option. Wow, huge amount of Fiends moving forward here. Yep, keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Move those Fiends, come on. We're stalling the Fiends a little bit. I don't think there's enough here to warrant retracting all of the Fiends. I think these definitely should keep moving. Yeah, there we go. Fiends continue marching forward. Will they find this fusion reactor over here? I think they will. Oh, maybe they won't. Oh, they do. They find the fusion. Oh, it cloaks quickly. It says, nope, I'm not here. You didn't see a thing. Wow, this mammoth wall, though, that's going to be hard to break. And this is going to be hard to break, too. Look at all these T2 sentries here. Or rather, the T1-2 sentries. The twin guard, if you will. Going to be very difficult to deal with. Razorback now. Brought to the front. And it's looking very healthy. Very little scratching on this bad boy. These bulls will be sure to fix that, though. Yeah, and indeed, the Razorback goes down real quick. Grave Robber is probably eager to resurrect that bad boy. Fold that back into the army here. I guess not. Centurion was here, blasting away as well. Why not? Tons of units pushing forward here. Look at all those bulls marching forward. So much damage. Huge, huge damage potential. Yep, looks like this twin guard wall paid for itself. Managed to shut down that huge push of fiends. There are more coming out here, though, so this is going to be quite devastating. There's a Titan walking its way across the battlefield very slowly, but it will get there eventually, and I don't know if we have a great answer for that. We're down to 2 commanders for the blue team. We have Gurdon and we have Cloud, and so we're probably going to have to see one of those degun the Titan, just because it's going to be a lot for T2 units to deal with here. Now, speaking of T2 units, we're stepping away from that into T3 on Azurdark's part. I would love to see some more reclaim sent out, more resurrection. Just keep eating the metal off the battlefield, especially these big clusters right here. Look at all these Karganath wrecks. Yeah, tremendous amount of metal tied up right there. Bulls are pushing forward into the twin guard wall. How much those lasers do. Really, really powerful. That's a pretty devastating wall of fire right there. A fire wall, if you will. The Titan is spotted, and yep, instantly the units are pulled back. We're going to need every ounce of firepower we can to take this thing down if we're not going to degun it. Razorback was resurrected, and it looks like Azurdark is going to be creating their own. This is funny. We've got a production system back here, cowering behind purple. Probably not a bad idea. Look at this battle. Look at these T2 tanks. These bulls pushing forward here, doing tons and tons of damage, but still not enough to deal with these heavy mammoths. The heavily armored assault bot. Interesting. The economy of 2 players keeping up with the economy of 4. Very nicely done. 5. Sorry, didn't mean to disinclude you, Mr. Songlanojad. And it looks like the Titan was brought down, or was it redirected? No, it must have been brought down somewhere. Here it is. Yeah, Titan wreckage. I would love to see that resurrected. There's no reason why not. We did reclaim rather a T2 production facility over here, so that's quite nice. And we're actually just handing these off to the other players. Oh, what a kind gentleman Cloud is. A gentleman and a scholar. Would you look at that? Now this northern section is actually quite open to harassment here. Certainly we could get some units up and around this way. Go attack Geiger over here. Send some units through and push through the northern section. That's always an option. It feels like you have to fight into the heavily armed sections, the defended sections, because it feels like that's where the units are. That's where the stuff worth defending is. But a lot of times, what you actually want to attack is the exposed, open flanks. Speaking of open, exposed flanks, huge one down here. This entire area is completely exposed. That's weird. The line kind of clipped through the dirt there. Interesting. I wonder if those lines have some sort of physical presence on the battlefield. This Titan's in a whole lot of trouble. It does self-destruct. That's very nicely done. Great job by Geiger, microing that so that it doesn't leave a wreck behind for them to reclaim. Excellent decision. And we see more and more Razorbacks being pumped out here. Scratch that. We actually don't see more and more Razorbacks pumped out here. What are we spending our metal on? We were upgrading the economy. Excellent move. That's really easy to forget to do, and something that you can definitely get caught up not doing, and eventually it catches up to you in a big way, and you can no longer scale properly. Yeah, all of these players are starting to scale up their economies as well, realizing this game is not over. We cannot just tap out, which is quite nice. Cloud actually needs to improve their economy too. I would love to see a T2 constructor built out of this, and we just start up another advanced fusion reactor, just to get a lot of these energy converters back up and running here. I also love that they're giving units back to the other commanders on their team. Well done by their friendly commanders, by the way, for sticking in the game so that they can happen. Very difficult to do that. Sometimes it feels pointless to stay in a game, but I assure you, if you have quality teammates, they're going to help you out. They're going to get you back on your feet as much as they can. And yeah, you'll be back in the game in no time. Because at the end of the day, that's just one less action per minute that they have to micro, and everybody's happy about that. Fusion reactor being resurrected here. Mr. Zach, eager to get his hands on it, I suppose. Clear those off the map there. Tons and tons of fiends marching forward here. But little do they know, this area has been well defended. We are putting Shivas, we're putting mammoths, we've got a radar jammer, we've got ambassadors, our negotiators, the rocket launchers, yeah. The fiends are like, nope, 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 nope. Get me out of here. War is hell. Yeah, as soon as they heard those rockets launch, they said, no, let's not do that. Not worth it. Now the front lines are stagnated again. Interesting. We'll speed this up a little bit here. The Shiva are on the march, so I'm curious to see what these are going to do. Tons and tons of Resbots here on the front lines, putting back together a lot of Karganath, a lot of Bulls, all sorts of stuff. So this push is now in the favor of Blue, who can just pick up a lot of these Wrecks and turn them back into army. Really, really nicely done. Looks like a lot of those Shiva go down. The Titan is here for fire support as well, which is always lovely. And everything is being resurrected right behind it all. Slow it back down here to watch this Titan blaze a trail through this enemy defensive line, which has all but crumbled completely here. Really nicely done. Really good use of units there. Really good job with the Resbots. Cloud bringing us exactly what we're hoping to see out of a 30 true scale player. Very nicely done. Azurdark also making a very nice debut and showing us that it's easy to keep up if you just keep scaling your economy and you keep building, keep improving, and you're going to get there very quickly. Yeah, suddenly Lincelian and, what's this player's name? Etan are both back in this game. They've got little production facilities here to rebuild from, which is quite nice. This is unfortunate. This eats up a ton of energy. You see it eats up 232 energy and 7 metal per second, which does actually chip into this economy quite a lot. So, unfortunate. I would maybe give that to another player on the team, or just maybe self-destruct it. The radius might be too big. Oh, the radius is huge. Don't self-destruct it. Never mind. But yeah, maybe just give it to another teammate just so it's not eating into your economy. Oh, the Thor is moving forward, though. The Thor finds a bunch of reclaim bots. Lights them up. Catches a T2 constructor out in the open. Easily decides to take the shot here. And yeah, this thing is going to be phased by these light lasers at all. Well, you know, I say that. They're burning off about 1% for every time that they fire, but these paralysis beams are really powerful. You can also... Oh, yeah, we're using the missiles. Very well done. Huge play by Azurdark. Oh, I absolutely love to see it. We're paralyzing this whole front line so that it can't fight back. Mwah! Magnifique. You have my commendations, Azurdark. Welcome to the pros. You're an honorary pro. We're lowering the ceiling so that you can be in here. It's 26 now, because that was beautiful. We see the EMP missile brought out here to get past that defensive line so they can't scratch up the beautiful paint on this Thor. Excellently done. Really, really nicely done. The Thor is now in the back line here, and it can take out these fusion reactors. It can take out all sorts of stuff. Love to see it target some stuff here. Looks like it'll be burned down by the fiends. Oh, it does go down before it can manage to get that final shot off. Don't even care. So much fun to see that thing in action here. Razorback, the only defense that's here, and Razorbacks are great, but they're not particularly fast. I mean, they are fast. They are great, but there's just more stuff beats less stuff. That's just how it goes. And these fiends have definitely gotten well into the back line here. Razorback trying desperately to defend their teammate. We see Gurdon forced to retreat a little bit here. But doing a great job. The Razorback actually came in just in time here. The second one here to reinforce as well. Yeah, very good stuff. Razorbacks down south as well. They catch a whole bunch of Resbots that were here putting together an army again. They say, no, thank you. Not on my watch. More and more Titans are out on the field, but they don't quite know how to end this fight. They're not sure whether they should be pushing in or whether they should just be hanging out and waiting for support. I think what you probably do is go for some sort of light unit spam, maybe some ticks or pawns or grunts or something like that in order to support these Titans as they march forward so that they don't get taken out by a commander with a stray D-gun and don't get jumped upon by any sort of artillery or assault units. You can see the economy scaling has just been so huge here. We have a fighter wall coming up too. That's really, really nice. We're seeing a lot of clarity of mind here from Azurdark. Definitely a good player. A sign of a good player is when you can look at what they're doing and say, okay, yeah, you're taking a deep breath. You're actually thinking about what you're building. You're not just, you know, throwing metal around trying to build random stuff. You're actually making sure to use what you have effectively. And that's really, really something else. I really love to see that. Definitely some high-level skill here. I'm going to speed forward through this a little bit here, as now the front lines have once again been drawn. Nice big battle map. This is a dangerous army composition. If we get in real close here, you can see that's Titans, that's Shivas, that's Ambassador Negotiators, that's Wasps, that's Incisors too mixed in, why not? Some sort of light unit, just like I was talking about. Really nicely done here. Commander was resurrected and brought to the front lines. It gets a whole lot of those welders with its D-gun, actually. Really nicely done. Razorbacks jump on the back of this. And that allows these units the distraction that they needed to pounce on these as well. Titan's in a little bit of trouble here. One's down to 42% and getting lower every day. Indeed, the Karganeth put out a devastating amount of fire. Oh, we're pulling it back. Okay. Yeah, why not? Do a little micro. Those T3 units are worth microing. Very, very nice. Now we're streaming fiends in here, but I think this is the right idea. You want to build them up and then push them in a big wave. I think that's probably going to work a whole lot better. This Razorback can be really dangerous here. Itan is actually in a lot of trouble. That Razorback realizes, oh, we don't actually have anything we need here. Commander did go down over here, the one that was resurrected, most likely to these Razorbacks. Another huge engagement right in the middle of the map here. The problem is we need some sort of artillery support. We need some vanguards out on the field to lay down fire on these guys from far away, and then the Razorbacks to basically keep the fire support at bay. Oh, looks like we EMP'd this. Very nicely done. We EMP'd that and we tried to nuke it, but it did not work. Looks like the place where we nuked was just inside of another field here. Really nicely done. I wonder what we used to EMP there. I wonder if we were building EMP bombers. I didn't quite catch it. Razorbacks are going to be positioned right in line so these tick swarms here cannot push through. If you notice that and you're producing tick swarms, remember to just kite them around somewhere else. Ticks are mainly like a scouting unit, so remember to switch up that routing pattern in case they're not being used effectively. A whole lot of units just resurrected and put up on the front lines. That's exactly what you're hoping to see here. Oh, a bunch of bombers brought out by yellow, though. The fighter wall is in place. Is it going to be enough? Yeah, I would say so. Definitely those bombers did a little bit of damage. It looks like they took out some metal extractors, but they didn't hit any of the advanced fusion reactors, and that's really the main target you're going for here, and they did not get it. So very nicely done for the defense here. Well done to Purple for having the clarity of mind to build those fighters. And we actually see Lancillion building their own advanced fusion reactor. We are slowly and properly building back up to a game here. This was down to 2 players at one point, I'll remind you. This was down to 2 players on the blue team, and now it has climbed all the way back up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very nicely done. More bombers coming out here, but they get caught by planes. They get caught by Razorbacks, of all things. Yeah, they are going to go down. Ooh, we have a few Razorbacks that actually broke through the back line here. They're in quite a lot of trouble, though. They're actually not looking very good. And these, again, these twin guards. Yeah, I gotta give them credit. Those twin guards have definitely been really, really useful. Some of the experience on these bad boys. Yeah, very nice. So what's our win condition here? I think either green is going to push through this northern half and they're going to realize that there's not actually enough defenses to hold a huge fiend wave. Or blue is going to break the defensive line right here and eventually just going to slowly collapse on the red player. Now this is a huge wall of mammoths right here. It's going to be really hard to shoot down, but it's definitely going to be enough to, or it's definitely possible to run past those because of course those are tremendously slow. Okay, that was nice. Bombers actually find a whole bunch of res bots and take them out. Bit unconventional, but it does shut down the resurrection potential of Cloud for at least a little while here. They quickly queue up a whole bunch more res bots. 300 res bots, but also on repeat. 300 infinite res bots. And the lines are drawn again, and everyone's just teching up. They're trying to figure out what to do. We've got a plan here. We're going for the nuclear launchers. We've committed to it. We're just dumping all of our metal into the nukes. And I suppose it's not a bad idea. This map is pretty small. And we haven't really been harassing with nukes all too much yet, so this could definitely do a lot of damage. A lot of defenses right here, so it'd be really hard to push through this with ground units. So I think the nuclear option is definitely a good one. It's not my favorite strategy just because it does feel a little, you know, it feels a little cheap, maybe a little bit easy, a little bit low skill, maybe. But certainly you need the skills in order to build an economy that can functionally keep 20 nukes maintained. Oh, don't pull the fiends back. Those aren't going to help you. We've got the fighters out. Oh, that fiend wave could have done tremendous damage, but instead he showed his hand and it allowed the pink player to move into position. That's really unfortunate. These incisors are still going to do a ton of damage in the back line. You know. Well, I guess they didn't do that much damage in the back line when I look at it. 2 juggernauts are out on the field. That's pretty dangerous. Those bad boys are tough. We don't really have the units to deal with that at the moment. Yeah, suddenly red is looking very dangerous. The red team, I mean. We've got light pink up north pushing in. We've decided to launch. Where are we targeting? Okay, we have a good spot. Oh, I think maybe one more and it might have gotten through. Oh, that's really unfortunate to see. That was a great effort, though. Definitely drained a whole lot of these anti-nukes here, and but unfortunately they're gonna start up a whole lot more. So you gotta keep scaling the nukes, and that's the problem with these, is you can build as many as you want, but that's just gonna keep growing and growing and growing. Actually putting down some of their own anti-nukes. Getting a little cautious here. Luckily for them, there's no nukes coming up for the other team here. The light blue player is being ravaged by a whole bunch of units on this side. They did not have the chance to build up their economies to quite the point that they could deal with that. Ooh, and it looks like green also took a huge hit here. I didn't see exactly what that was. Looks like some sort of long-range artillery. Yeah, looks like we have artillery cannons somewhere over here. Yeah, it's Basilisk. Juggernaut goes down. It's quite a nice explosion. Cloud moving forward. Probably going to try and degun some of these Juggernauts. That's a great option. All the units are forced to retreat here. Slow it down. Razorbacks pushing in down south as well. There's just not enough units, and it looks like they will eventually find the economy centers in blue. This advanced fusion is under a lot of fire, and it lights up like a Christmas tree. Everything evaporates suddenly. All of the production for the purple player is reduced to ashes. And that is where the game is going to end. So close to a comeback for the blue team. Really thought they had it for a second there. But the red team decided to coordinate at the very last second. That one final push. And they stole the game. Not really stole the game. I guess they finished the game. The game that they had from the start. Excellent, excellent play from both teams here. Really enjoyed that one. That was a great showcase. And I absolutely love this map as well. Wow, yeah, you can see purple and blue both way outscaling the red team here. And that just goes to show you, like, if you continue scaling at all costs, eventually you're going to hit a point where you're outscaling everyone, right? Because this graph is essentially exponential. So you can really get up there with the pros by just learning how to economy properly. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you had a great time enjoying this video, and I hope you have an even better rest of your day.